Hi, I'm Armando, and I told you I'd come back to you with some more instructional information to support the book Raptor Sharp that was released several weeks back in Kindle format on Amazon. So, what we're going to look at right now is the myth of acuity. Now, the myth of acuity, whenever we're talking about cutting down on reaction time or even accuracy, whether it be a shooting or maybe shooting a basket, pulling back a bow, and sending an arrow down the row, or even throwing a ball at a target, or throwing a rock at a target for that matter. When we're looking at things, it's not so much how sharply we focus, we like to call it that. That's merely a description of what happens. But whenever we're hitting something, we're not actually seeing with the best of clarity. We're approximating, okay? We're kind of getting an idea where something is in motion. And besides, our eyes are actually giving us an average visual based on milliseconds of what's called saccadic rhythm, where our eyes are going back and forth and get an idea as to where things are at based on what happened just moments ago, so to speak. So here's the thing. When we're looking at accuracy and acuity, they tend to go hand in hand in our mind, but in practice it's not so much that. It's actually an approximation of an image that we're seeing in a distance, especially if it's moving. So can you accurately hit something, touch something without necessarily having to look at it in really hard focus? Yes, you can. I've trained in martial arts for a number of years, and I've trained in stick fighting, empty hand fighting, this sort of thing, and I can honestly tell you with my eyes closed, if I have an idea as to where somebody is, I can literally put my hand up their nose if I need to, or even touch their belly button without necessarily having to look right down where their navel. Of course, that's kind of gross, but the idea is still the same. We can still touch it without having to look at it. We have an idea as to where it's at. We can touch shoulder points, we can touch the inside of the arms, we can touch where the fingers are, where they terminate. We can touch with our foot without necessarily having to look where the middle of their shin is, even the inside of their knee, this sort of thing. We have an idea. Same thing whenever you train in a sport, martial art, or self-defense type things, you know what the body is like. You know what the bodies are like and about more or less where their appendages are. We're dealing with an average human. Okay, if you've dealt with 20 or 30 different types of people, chances are they have arms and legs, and probably the differences are weight and height, and maybe other things that are more along the lines of higher thinking stuff. But performance-wise, we're looking at stuff that has to do with 3D space, okay? So when we're looking at motion, do you have to have acuity to touch a target? Not necessarily. How about to throw something at a target? No. Whenever you throw knives, and this was something I used to do years back with lots of fun and accuracy occurring at the same time, but it wasn't a hard focusing thing. It was an approximation once I was in motion. I know that I was looking at the little red dot in the middle of the target, but I wasn't hard focusing on it. What I was doing is getting an idea, getting a feel for my target. And whenever we're using peripheral visual, we're actually using a better approximator than we are when we're looking at our hard focus vision. It doesn't mean that it's not any good. It just means it's not as good for things that we do in motion or responding to that are in motion. So, do we have to have acuity to be able to touch targets, see targets, and even make a basket? I'll tell you what, I'm going to challenge you, give it a try. Try to look at the middle of that hoop and then try to get an idea as to where it's at. You don't even have to look at the hoop, and you can kind of do a la Michael Jordan, this sort of thing, without having to look. You know, those things that look like it's almost like a sixth sense type of thing. Is our sixth sense. We have it as well. We just have to play with it a little bit. And the more we play with it, the better it works out for us. Not only that, the more it becomes ours and it becomes replicable when you get the feel for that. The feel is how this is whenever I'm doing that, and that's going to be the recall, and we can call upon it anytime we need it. So for now, that's the difference in the myth of acuity versus what's actually happening. And also, go give it a try. See how accurate you get in those things that require accuracy with a lack of acuity without having to do the hard focus. And let me know how that turns out. Good luck in your training. We survive, we thrive, and we win. Talk to you soon.